Hi everyone, welcome to TV1 Business Bureau. Today we are going to get ourselves updated with the latest trending business news and also meet an amazing business personality to learn about his experience and his life journey. Today we are going to talk with an interesting personality, a journalist, an editor, a publisher now, the chairman founder of the Vijitha Yapa group. I'm sure you're going to learn a lot of interesting things from Mr. Vijitha Yapa. A journalist, an editor, now a publisher, founder chairman of Vijitha Yapa Group, Mr. Vijitha Yapa. It's amazing to have you today because you have an amazing story. Because all these massive, amazing success stories start with simple little beginnings. So let's talk about your childhood. Because you started from Varalla. Most of you might not know where Varalla is. So we would like to talk about your village and why your father insisted that you need to study at the village school.
Varalla is a little village between Moravaka and Kottapola, and even today there is no name board. You can whiz through it and you wouldn't even know that you have gone through it. But that's where my father worked. He was a tea planter and he said, never forget your village, never forget your roots. And he insisted that we all go to the village school, which was actually one building. So there were 10 of us in the family and all 10 went there. And it was great fun because sitting next to me was my father's peon son. So it was a great experiment in one way, but we all enjoyed it. And then after 3 years, my father said, now you have to move on. And he got me admitted to St. Thomas's Preparatory School, Bandaravela under W.T. Keeble. But that created a bit of a problem because I did not know any English. And so I was thrown out of class by the English teacher saying, "Me Godek." And the other children also then began to call me a Godek. But I said, okay, I'm going to learn this language. And we were in the boarding house, and after 8 o'clock when the lights were off, we were in the bathroom, washroom, and there some friends helped me to learn English. And that's how I started on English, and within 3 years I came top of the batch in English. And also coming further, I ended up as the editor of 3 English newspapers in this country, the Island, Sunday Island and the Sunday Times, among many things. So I'm proud of my work in Varalla school and also proud that I was able to achieve anything. Because if you can persevere and if you have a goal, there is nothing beyond your reach. That's basically my life.
What came to my mind was, you cannot go back and change the beginning. But still, if you start right now, you can surely change the story, how it ends. So make sure you can change the ending of your story, but you can't stop or change the beginning. So keep striving, keep achieving, keep learning. If you have the will, you surely can achieve it. And that's what we learned from Mr. Vijitha Yapa. But there's a lot more to learn about his success story as well. So let's talk about your journey after going to Bandaravela, St. Thomas's College. You moved on to another school and how you moved forward in your life as well.
Yeah, from there I went to St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia. In fact, I was the only student chosen from St. Thomas's Bandaravela, perhaps because of the results I had got and all that. Anyway, I enjoyed that time with my warden was Canon and it was a time of great fun. I was the secretary of the Film Society there. And in 1964, we had Mr. Rajmohan Gandhi, the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi, visiting Sri Lanka. And he saw some of the writing that I had done, and he said, why don't you come and join us in India, and let's teach you proper journalism. He had a newspaper called Himmat, which was in English. Himmat means courage. And so that's how I ended up in Bombay. And I worked there for a total of about 5 years. But it was great fun. In addition to many other things, that I was able to report from about 80 countries around the world, going and reporting. For instance, Bangladesh, soon after the liberation of Bangladesh, I was there, and I was the first to report that there will be no war trials for the 90,000 Pakistani troops that had been captured by or surrendered to the Bangladesh army. So there are lots of encounters like that. But then after that, I came back briefly to Sri Lanka in '71, and then I went on to Australia, and then on to Papua New Guinea, where I was asked to direct a film. It's a film called Pidgin. It's the one and only feature film in the Pidgin language that had been produced in the world, not just Sri Lanka. And it's an amazing country, Papua New Guinea. 1,000 tribes speaking 700 different languages, 600 islands, 2.5 million people. What are our problems here with 20 million people and people speaking just 2 or 3 languages, and look at the thing there. So it was a fascinating country because they didn't know how to communicate with each other. They are all different languages. So the Australians who came in started developing a language called the Pidgin language. And I had to learn it because the film was in Pidgin. But there were fascinating things. For instance, how do you describe to people who have never seen a piano what a piano is? So the word for piano is E black pella bokis. Suppose you bite him white pella, black pella teeth, he cry out. I'll tell it slowly. E black pella bokis. It is a black box. Suppose you bite him, suppose you hit. White pella, black pella teeth, white and the black teeth. He cry out, it sings out. So the idea was that you were trying to educate people who never had education before, who never seen a lot of the modern gadgets that we had here. So we made this film, and Michael Somare, who later became the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, he was one of those who helped us. In fact, he did the script. And it was great fun. Julius Chan was another one. He also became the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. I stayed in the home of Sir John Guise, who was the speaker at that time. And we had great fun. And when they showed the film, 20,000 came for the opening night. We had to hire a stadium to have it, the Hubert Murray Stadium. And this film was about reconciliation and how different tribes worked separately, but they all decided to come together for the future of the country. And this was shown right throughout Papua New Guinea and helped to create some sort of solidarity among the people. After I came back from Papua New Guinea, then I came back to Himmat and worked with them too. And then I had to leave India because the emergency was declared by Indira Gandhi, and I didn't want to risk extending my visa in case I am not allowed to come back to India. So in 1975 I decided to come back to Sri Lanka. I was here for 2 years. The father's tea plantation was in a terrible mess, and I had some friends who helped me, and within 1 year we increased the production 1000%. So after that I left that in the hands of my cousin, and I went on to New Zealand and other places.
So if you are still thinking that you really want to be successful, but you have a lot of issues and problems you're facing right now, find solutions for your problems rather than complaining. Mr. Vijitha Yapa, you have traveled for more than 80 countries. And also you have directed films, you have written books, and also you are an editor. a publisher now, and also you have created an amazing, well-known, strong brand name, Vijitha Yapa. So let's talk about how you created that amazing brand name.
Yeah, actually the issue of creating my own brand name was from Upali Vijayawardena, who I had the privilege of working, because in '79 I decided to come back and settle in Sri Lanka, and the Wall Street Journal had asked me to interview President because he had just become the President and the Constitution and all that. So I went and met him, and then he said afterwards, you know, you have been traveling around, you have been meeting me, don't you think it's time you came back to Sri Lanka? And why don't you help us, because we are starting on this new journey. He said, what do you want me to do? He said, you send me your CV. So I sent it to him and I forgot about it. But after 2 weeks, I had a call from the GCEC at that time, the Board of Investment, and can you come and meet Mr. Upali Vijayawardena? So I went to see him, and Upali was interested in what I had to say, and then he said, okay, you're hired. So I became the media manager of the GCEC, and my job was to create awareness about Sri Lanka in various parts of the world, which I enjoyed because a lot of these people were also my friends. And then after that, Upali decided to start his own newspapers, and that's when he asked me whether I can join there. In the meantime, I had been appointed the representative of the Wall Street Journal, or Dow Jones. At that time I said I can't, I had just taken on this job. Interestingly, that was April 1, 1981 that this particular incident occurred. I said I can't. He said, no, you have to come. So after a lot of consideration, I gave the details of, I handed over the business which I had started to my wife, and then I joined and started the Island newspaper. The Island newspaper had no staff. It was quite an incredible thing. So we had to hire everybody, except for the people who were working on the typesetting. Others, journalists, I had to find. So I looked around. Some of those people I had worked with when I was working with Upali Vijayawardena. So I chose the ones that I wanted and called them and said, okay, you can start tomorrow, double your salary. Are you willing to come? And of course they all came. So that's how the Island began, and a lot of well-known people came. Vijay Soma came, then you had Jayraj, BBS Jayraj, Ajit Samarnaik, and many of those were well known, and they all joined me. So that's how we started the newspaper.
So Mr. Vijitha Yapa, looking at your journey, the beautiful success story, I'm sure you have many messages to give our young youth and also our entrepreneurs. So what is one message you would like to give our viewers?
Yeah, one particular story, if I could say it, was that one day a person working in the treasury brought me a document, and he said, this is Ronnie Dimel's budget tomorrow. Do you want it? I said, of course, my gosh, yes. But then the question is, if he's going to present the budget tomorrow, is it right for me to publish it in the morning newspaper? So that was a big decision, and I decided to take the risk. So I published it, Men Ronnie budget. This is Ronnie's budget, and all the details of what he was going to do. Ronnie, of course, was furious, and he had to change the whole budget speech because of that, because he wanted to prove that I was wrong. But that morning I had a call from the CID, and Mohan Jayasinghe, and he came and said, now tell me, who gave you this story? I said, yeah, no problem. Please sit down and I'll tell you. He said, you're going to tell me? Yeah. I said, I'm going to tell you. Who is it? He said, so I said, Ronnie Dimel phoned me and told me. So this guy was absolutely flabbergasted. And he said, well, I'll have to report this to Mr. Ronnie Dimel. So you mean Ronnie is the one who sent you? He said, yes. Then I was charged in courts. stealing cabinet secrets, trying to create financial havoc, and various other things. And you know what the terms are if that happened. So I went up and then I was asked, are you guilty or not guilty? I said, not guilty. And suddenly Mohan, the CID officer, was summoned by the judge. And Mohan came back and said, I have a problem, Mr. Yapa. I said, what's the problem? He said, the judge says he cannot hear this case. I said, why? He says, he was in the same dormitory as you at St. Thomas's College. So I looked up and to see it was Justice Kirti Vijayawardena, and he was at St. Thomas's College. So then he said, please transfer this case somewhere else. And I don't know what happened to that case. In the meantime, Ronnie Dimel lost his job because JR fired him. And then, anyway, that was part of the fun. So it's a lot of interesting episodes which I have run through life.
Thank you very much for sharing few interesting episodes out of all the 1,000 odd episodes you have experienced in your life. And thank you very much, Mr. Vijitha Yapa. You have inspired many in Sri Lanka and also around the world, and you have taken Sri Lanka and put it on the world map as well. So thank you very much. Keep inspiring and keep doing great to the country and the world.
Can I tell one more story if you have the time?
Yes.
I worked with Upali Vijayawardena, as I told you earlier. And there was a plane crash, which was an Indonesian plane, and then they wanted to put up a monument. So from the Board of Investment or the GCC at that time, he gave some land, but then the whole thing got stuck. So he appointed a person to make a report to him. And so this man made the report, and then he brought it to Upali Vijayawardena, and I was also there. And Upali looked at it and said, it's a big file. He said, what is this? He said, this is the report you wanted, sir. And what is your decision? He said, I have not made any decisions. You asked me to do a report, and here it is. I have never seen Upali Vijayawardena so angry. He took that file and pushed it. And it went and struck this person's stomach. And he said, I have not hired you as manager for me to make the decisions. You make the decision and then you tell me what to do, and I will decide what I am to do. But don't try to palm the thing off to me. So, you know, that's what a great lesson that is. So many people, they want to take over the decisions. But here was a man who wanted his managers to take the decision. So that, I think, is a very, very important story.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vijitha Yapa. So remember, as Mr. Vijitha Yapa said, don't throw the ball to the next court. If the ball comes towards your court, start playing and make sure, take decisions, because it's very hard to find leaders who will give a chance and motivate others to take decisions and also become a leader. So make sure you become a leader who inspires many and also encourage and create more leaders that we can live in a wonderful, successful world.